Ooh, that's
See,
good.
there's honey there and honey there. So this is ready to be harvested. And I'm looking at these other frames and look like we're
Good to go.
yeah.
Before I started recording, we were discussing the differences between harvesting in May or June as opposed to July. Um, you want to harvest in May or June because those are the months where the nectar flow is at its peak, and in July is the last remnants of the nectar flow, so it won't be as much. It may not be as much as it would be in May or June.
And you have the perils of the bees beginning to consume
Right.
what you have.
So also, if you wait until July, um, you have to think about the bees beginning to consume the honey that's in the hive. So he's using the paintbrush to brush the bees off of the frame. And as you can see, it's good honey on that frame. No brood. It's
Capped honey
all
there,
capped honey.
and that's what you want. The honey has to be capped before you harvest it. So if it's wet and you can see it's kind of juicy or whatever liquid, then you leave that. So that's capped honey, and we can put that in our container to be harvest. And I was saying that I thought there wasn't going to be a bunch of honey in here because it was kind of quiet in there, but I was wrong.
It's not quiet now.
Well, actually, it is kind of quiet. Okay, again, here's capped honey here
Mm-hmm.
and capped here, so that's all ready to go.
Looking good.
So, remember I was telling you that I was a little concerned about this particular hive yesterday because the bees were kind of swarming late,
Mm-hmm.
and it appears that I was right that there's not a lot of empty space for these bees to build more honey.
Mm-hmm.
So I was correct in the assumption that this hive was getting ready to swarm because they had a space problem. And I still mentioned that it was kind of quiet in here,
Mm-hmm.
which, to my way of thinking, some of these bees could have actually swarmed yesterday, and I have half the bees that I had yesterday this time.
Okay.
That maybe half of them could have left. Now, if you see here, I'm going to leave this one in there. We have honey here, but it's not capped. Here's capped, here's not capped. So that's not capped, and I'll just leave that for them. But you see, this is all capped honey here, and here's some that's uncapped.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna leave that for them to survive the winter.
There we go. Here we have capped honey, but it's only a small amount. But here we have capped honey. So there's very little, virtually none, that is not capped. So I'll take this one. I'll take this one and harvest it, even though it's not full of honey. This is, we got honey in here, but it's uncapped, so I'm definitely going to leave this one here.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some capped honey here, but again, the whole frame is not full. I'll leave that for them. Let's see what we have on this side. This is a lighter frame again. We've got some honey in the middle here, but no honey there. And here's honey, but it's uncapped. Here we have capped honey here, a little bit of uncapped honey there, and a little capped honey here. I'll leave that for them. So I'm going to take this frame off, and then I've got a small partial frame underneath it, and I will just have one 10 frame, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll have 10 of these frames that I will leave here, and that's what they'll use the honey to live off of through the winter, and honey that they will make between now and October, when we have fall flowers that have nectar. So I'll put that down there, and then I've got 4 frames here. Let me go ahead and smoke this while I'm here. Usually, this is what we call heavy smoking. They always recommend that you lightly smoke. But I do more. See, this is now. If you look here, this is closely. This is just the foundation, and then the bees put wax on there that build up the foundation for them to
do the honey,
to produce the honey. So I'll put that lightly used foundation right back in there. Go back to the next one.
What's the significant difference between lightly smoking and heavy smoking?
Well, it's just like if you were giving a person light narcotics when they're in the hospital for a procedure. They rather give you just enough to take you under, rather than a whole bunch that may make it more difficult for you to recover.
Okay.
So again, this is just a frame that has no foundation, no wax on it at all. And so again, this is the one that I'll leave out for the bees for the winter and for next season. Okay, so that's the 10 frames there. We've got all the frames out of this one. So we'll pull that up, and then if you come a little bit closer, you can see this is the brood chamber, and you got all the helper bees down with the queen.
Okay.
And the queen is laying eggs, and the helpers are cleaning the queen, taking her defecation and whatever, her waste out of the hive, feeding her and taking care of her. So the queen is down here with her babies. This is called a queen excluder. The queen is bigger than the other bees. The other bees can come up out of here, but the queen is so big that it can't fit through this grating. And so, and we've got this super that has some honey in it and some empty frames. And we'll use that for the winter. For some reason it's not.
It's something stuck on the bottom on this side.
Yeah, I think what happened is these frames are not.
No, it's like an acorn.
Oh, there's a rock back there. Okay. I'm thinking that might do the trick.
It's an acorn on this side.
Okay. And you see, the more you hang out with bees, the more comfortable you are with them, and you become less nervous when they have all these bees around you.
Yeah, it is quite a few. I'm
but
not less nervous.
But yeah, but it really does take some time to get used to it.
It's on this side.
Okay. I can see it.
You could see it where you right there.
Okay. Now that's another rock. Okay. That should do it?
Yep.
Okay, so we know this hive is in good shape. And then we'll go to the next one, and then we'll be finished for the day. And we'll get the next two tomorrow. This is the inner cover.
Mm-hmm.
That's the inner cover. And this would be the outer